Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I literally just woke up, so do not come for me. I know I look rough, my hair is frizzy, but anyways, and I also have a slight headache because I've only been drinking iced coffee. You guys want to know how to become a flight attendant. First, obviously, you would apply for the job, which is like a no-brainer, right? Apply for the job. When I started, I actually was sitting at home one day and one of my close friends, she called me and she was like, girl, you should apply for this airline. And I was like, I mean, okay, I guess. Like, I guess I'll apply. And at the time, I was just working at a beauty supply store. So I was like, I just didn't, I don't know. I said I'd do it. So I was like, all right. She hit me up a week later and she was like, Sheena, did you apply for the airline like I told you to? And I was like, oh my God, I completely forgot. I'll do it right now. So I went online and I got ready to apply and I couldn't remember what airline she said. So I was like, this one. So I applied for the airline and then she like calls me like a couple days later and she's like, did you apply? And I was like, yeah, I applied for so-and-so. And she was like, oh my God, that's the wrong one. And I was like, oh, dang. And then she ended up getting the job with the other airline and I didn't. So we ended up working for like opposite airlines at the same exact time, which was crazy. After that, my interview process was so fast with the airline, like it was insane because normally people wait years to get hired as a flight attendant. It was like I did my application, submitted my cover letter, maybe like a week and a half to 2 weeks-ish later, I got an email that was requesting a video interview. So I watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos on what to do. I put on my red lipstick, something cute. I had a white background and I was like, hi, I'm Sheena. Can I work for your airline? And I did my video interview. Then like, I think like a week later came back and they were like, yes, we'd like to have you for an in-person interview. And I was like, oh my God. So they were like, you getting flued out? And we're gonna interview you. So they flew me out. They did pay for my flight there and back, but they do not pay for any place to stay. So they fly you out the day before the interview. So you have to pay for like a hotel for one night. And then you go to the interview and you fly back right after the interview. Everyone pretty much brought their luggage to the interview. Because we were flying out right after the interview. I didn't know if we would be allowed, so I left my stuff at the hotel and I asked the hotel for a late checkout, which I realize now I didn't have to do it. There was like place to store your luggage and everything. So I didn't bring my luggage. I just came myself and I had on this dress that had like blue and gray and white coloring. It was really, really pretty. It's this like business dress from Calvin Klein that I have. It's a bodycon dress, but it's low, like a little bit below the knee. And everyone in my interview was dressed like clones. Like literally I walked in and it was like white shirt, black blazer, white shirt, black blazer, white shirt, black blazer, pants, 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 pants. Like everyone looked the exact same. And I felt like weird because I was like, did I miss the memo? Like, why is everyone dressed like this? And apparently YouTubers that tell people how to become a flight attendant tell people like, when you go to your interview, make sure you dress exactly like everyone is dressed. And honestly, I feel like a lot of the reason that I stood out at my interview was because I didn't dress like a clone. So, cause my interviewer told me, they were like, oh my God, I love your dress. Like, it's so pretty. And I was like, thank you. But everyone else looked the exact same. So they didn't really get the same compliments, you know? So then they bring us into a room and it's a group of everyone that's interviewing and they like pretty much walk you through, like they're like, hi, this is the company, this is what we're about, this is how much money you make as a flight attendant, these are our CEOs. They explain how the pay and everything works. So they explain how everything pretty much works and they introduce themselves by their name. And so what I do at interviews is when an interviewer comes in, if she's like, hi, I'm Amy, I write down Amy and I write down what she's wearing. I'm like, Amy, blue top, red shorts. That way, when I go to talk to her later, I can be like, thank you so much again for this opportunity, Amy. It was nice meeting you. Because interviewers like that. So that's a quick interview tip. because you don't want to be like, what was your name again? It's just really weird. So then they say, we're gonna have everyone stand up and we're gonna ask you your name and where you're from. And so I stood up. I was like, I'm Sheena. I'm from Marietta, Georgia. That was it. People were not really following directions. We had someone in our interview who stood up and he was like, hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm from a small town in Indiana, population 3,000. We got one sheriff. Yeah. Whenever you need to go get the milk, you know, the milkman will come by. And they were like, okay. They kind of like had to cut him off because they were like, dude, we didn't even ask you all that, which was really awkward. Yeah, when an interviewer asks you for like one thing specifically, do not go overboard saying all this. If they say, what's your name and where you're from, tell them your name and where you're from. So next, they asked us all like one question. Like everyone got one question. One lady, they asked her, and this was like in front of the group. They asked her, what's your idea of a perfect day? And she was like, I don't know, something sunny, probably a sunny day. And they were like, anything else? And she was like, just a sunny day. And they were like, okay. They kind of want something like a little bit more like in depth. So they asked me, what was my favorite subject in school and why? So I went to a performing arts high school. So I did tell them, I was like, well, I went to a performing arts high school. So my favorite subject in school was dance. Even though that's not technically a subject, I loved it so much. They also asked what was my worst subject. I was like, math. I hated math. And they were like, ha ha ha. They laughed a little. They were like, we don't know why so many flight attendants hate math. So after that, they were like, all right, we're going to sit you guys down here. And then we're going to go into like the individual interviews. Now, during this time, a lot of people, I'm sorry, a lot of people in the room had started like talking to each other. And this one girl was like, yeah, I work for Mesa Airlines and you're probably not going to get it. So don't be worried if you don't, because like I've done this like tons of times. Like, don't worry. Like, it's normal for you to not get it on the first try. And I was like, okay, cool. Needless to say, she didn't get the job. I did. So I would say like, don't go in like overly confident, because it's just like, for what? You did this for what? Next, they had us go to the individual interviews. Everyone was pretty much sitting in a room talking. So then they finally took me into my interview, and it was one-on-one individual. And I had a lady, she was really, really nice. She was like, yeah, so she pretty much like takes your resume and she starts reading it, and she's like, so tell me about this experience you had. Can you answer this experience you had? So they also asked like, what's one of my weaknesses? I did tell them, I do have like, growing up, I always had like a slight bit of ADHD, and it was just hard growing up. But while I recognize that as my weakness, it's also made me stronger, because I'm able to overcome it by recognizing it and being able to counteract it. So it's like, I know it's a problem that I have, but I don't bring it into my adult life because I recognize it and I'm able to overcome it. And they were like, oh my God, that's such a great answer. And so then, yeah, so pretty much whenever they ask you for a weakness, you never want to say like, I don't have any weaknesses, because that sounds psychotic. You pretty much say like whatever you feel like is a weakness of yours, but you always have to have a way to like counteract it. What was like the other question? They were like, name a time that you had a difficult experience with a customer or guest in your past jobs, and how did you fix the situation? And I told, honestly guys, this is when you can start lying. And like, I know that sounds really, really bad, because it's like, who wants to lie? But when you go to these interviews and they ask you for like crazy stories, like come up with the craziest story ever, like literally. And so I told a story about when I used to work at Universal and this kid broke their leg, and how I had to like do all this stuff for the family, and how I was like the hero. It was amazing. So I told that story, and they were like, oh my God, seriously, that all happened? And then of course they had a whole bunch of Disney questions, because everyone always does. And my interviewer was like, do you think, oh my God, can I like take your picture so I can show my daughter? And I was like, sure. And yeah, so the Disney thing is always someone's like, people love the Disney World company because they're perceived as perfect. So they're like, if anyone has worked for the Disney World company, we want them because Disney is perfect. So yeah, then they were like, all right, well, that's all the questions we have for now. thank you so much. We're gonna take you into the room with the others. So then they take me into a room and everyone is sitting around a giant conference table and we're all like sitting there like staring at each other. And I was like, hi guys, how did your interview go? And everyone was like, I mean, it was good, I guess. And I was like, okay, I mean, I feel like mine went really well. And so, yeah, that was awkward. And then next thing that happened was, oh, a man came and got me. He was like, hey, can I have Sheena? And so I was like, me. So I went with him and we went to a private room. So we get there. I can smell bacon. I'm making bacon downstairs. I should probably go check on it. Okay, I'm back. Sorry guys, I went and made a BLT. I feel like I'm always eating on here. I needed that. My headache is kind of going away. I guess I just needed real food. So the man brought me into a room and he was like, why? He was like, why do you want to be a flight attendant? And I was like, because more than anything, I want to make people feel safe. And it was like the Emmy Award winner. It was amazing. Give me a Grammy. Yeah, because here's the thing with like flight attendants and stuff. Everyone's like, why do you want to be a flight attendant? And they're like, because I love to travel. And like, okay, we get that. A lot of people love to travel. They don't want to hear that answer. So that's why I was like, I want to make people feel safe. I know a lot of people are scared about flying and they're unsure. So I want to be that person that's there to make them feel safe. And they were like, oh my God, I love that. And yeah, it was great. So also after that, they take you into another room and you start signing contracts and papers. And they were like, oh yeah, because they offered me the job. They were like, would you like to work for our airline? And I was like, yes, stop it. I literally was so happy. So then that's when they bring you into another room. You start signing contracts and papers. And they ask you like, can you start training like next week? You literally like, and then they fly you home and you're still on this high because literally after that, I was like still like thinking it was not real. Like I was like, did that really just happen? Like, oh my God. So yeah, they pretty much like you get on your flight back home and it's just like crazy. And then you have like 5 or like maybe like 1 week. Yeah. 5 to 7 days to pack all your stuff for your training, and training is 7 weeks long and everything just happened so fast, but the training process was absolutely amazing. That was pretty much my interview process and how I became a flight attendant. And yeah, so I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it was informative. Like I said again, continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm gonna be making a TikTok later about some different flight attendant related stuff. All right, bye guys.